You can't express yourself. You can't say anything you want to because you're afraid of like what other people are gonna say. You don't want to hear a no Diddy. You don't want to hear a no homo. You don't want to say some statement that gets like put out into the ether, and it's like it forever like makes you. It's just like the stupidest thing ever when you really think about it, and it causes so much repression. It causes so much just like. And that repression causes depression, and that depression causes anger, and that anger causes violence, and that violence causes degradation in your community and in your society and in your culture, and it fucking sucks. Okay, so I'm getting ready to watch this video. Our men just gave for Drake homoparasocial attraction explained. I'm not gonna lie, this is something I've been thinking about for a while, just like having witnessed Drake fans online. The interesting thing about this is gonna be how does he make it so that it's not the same for, say, Kendrick fans, because I've also seen basically the opposite. Drake fans will be like, oh, well, like K-Dot fans are just like dick riders and stuff like that. So I think this take will be very interesting in general. So let's get into it. Okay. This is an interesting disclaimer. Which means same, right? Oh. I mean, I don't know where he's going with this, though. But you use gay in the title, though. But then why would you use gay in the title? Right. But, like, you used gay in the title. It's probably just the title. I'm overthinking it, bro. Can include admiration, longing, closeness. Yeah, I think I'm just overthinking it. I'm like dragging it. Like, I definitely understand how YouTube titles work. I'm really talking about it like I don't. Okay, fair. This video is about male heteronormative social behavior in the culture. That's a very good take. Okay. Wait, what'd he say? Okay. I still don't really get where he's going. Okay.
Like it or not, Drake is one of the most admired celebrities of the last decade. Women desire him, men want to be like him.
Okay.
He is both aspirational and accessible, a symbol of success that feels within reach. For straight men, admiration for Drake often begins as respect for his wealth, talent, and status.
Absolutely. Although I have been hearing that like people say that women are his demographic, but I've been talking to a lot of women lately and none of them seem to fuck with Drake. So I'm like really looking for that demographic that is supposed to be his like fan base. I know they're there, but I feel like it's more like very, very casual listener women. It's like, well, whatever, I'm dragging it.
But for some, it evolves into something deeper, an emotional investment that resembles attraction in everything but name. This phenomenon isn't new, nor is it exclusive to Drake. It exists across sports, entertainment, and influencer culture. But in hip-hop, where heteronormativity is king, it plays out in a uniquely charged way. A lot of straight men will defend Drake with their lives, copy his fashion, study his dating habits, and react.
Defend Drake with their lives is absolutely accurate. Let me put that screenshot up real quick again, bro. I had the weirdest interaction with this dude on social media, on Threads a couple weeks ago and on Instagram, bro. Shit was crazy. Dude was a legitimate tweaker. And the reason I think it's different for Kendrick is because like the stuff that people be defending for Drake is like actual insanity, whereas like niggas just be like, K-Dot's a good rapper, he's cold, like he beat Drake in the beat. We just be saying normal stuff, but like with Drake it's like, no, it's okay that he invited that high schooler to his after party. It's like I don't know, bro. Or niggas will be like, just leave it alone because he's Drake. Why are you worried? I'm like, oh, that is a crazy hill to die on.
Emotionally to his career moves as if they were personal. This is homoparasocial attraction, a most often one-sided, deeply invested admiration that straight men develop toward other men, especially celebrities or public figures. It's not necessarily sexual, but it can look a lot like desire. It manifests in a fixation on the way a man carries himself, speaks, dresses, and moves through the world. It's wanting to be that man, but also wanting something from him.
I feel like this is how a lot of American men feel about Batman, though. And like pretty much anyone that plays Batman. So like Christian Bale, Pattinson, who's the other guy? Just all of them. Like Michael Keaton. Bro, I low-key feel like that about Michael Keaton, especially his performance in Flash. She was crazy.
Whether that's validation, attention, or proximity. This isn't just fandom, it's personal. Unlike a typical man crush or hero worship, homoparasocial attraction has an emotional intensity to it. It's the difference between saying, I respect him, and feeling genuinely affected by what he does. If Drake gets clowned online, certain fans take it personally. If he's linked to a woman, some react as if they've been personally betrayed. When he drops music, they analyze every lyric as if he's speaking directly to them. This is where homoparasocial attraction lives, in the space between admiration and something more, a space that heteronormative masculinity refuses to acknowledge. Hip-hop culture enforces a strict version of masculinity. Straight men must be dominant, emotionally controlled, and above all, unquestionably heterosexual. Desire, admiration, and attraction are supposed to move in one direction. Men pursue women, women admire men, and men respect each other, but never too much. Homoparasocial attraction isn't about being gay. It's about how heteronormativity fails to account for complex male social dynamics. Hip-hop culture, in particular, operates within a strict heteronormative framework where expressions of admiration, emotional connection, or even aesthetic appreciation among men are often policed, ridiculed, or misunderstood.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Most people who see homoparasocial attraction immediately label it as gay because they are looking at it through a heteronormative lens.
Absolutely. And that's why you get everyone saying no Diddy after every like 2 sentences, or no homo, or pause, is because it's so caught up in their mind. They're so caught up with like policing their own like their own like presentation of like what they think is supposed to be like heteronormative. That's actually a very fascinating take.
That only recognizes two rigid through a heteronormative lens. One that only recognizes two rigid categories. Men desire women, or men desire men. But human attraction, admiration, and social bonding don't fit neatly into these categories.
Yeah, it's actually very complex.
Especially in male-dominated spaces like hip-hop, where identity is deeply tied to performance, competition, and power. Instead of homoparasocial attraction being an indicator of supposed homosexuality, it actually highlights a huge blind spot in how we define masculinity, heteronormativity, and desire itself. In hip-hop, heteronormativity is not just the default, it is enforced. Male success is measured by the number of women one attracts. Men are expected to avoid behaviors that could be read as romantic or emotionally dependent toward other men. Any admiration for another man must be heavily coded as respect rather than anything deeper. But hip-hop is also built on homosocial relationships. Male rappers form deep emotional bonds with their crews, producers, and fellow artists who are overwhelmingly men. Male mentorship
That's a fact. Studio sessions are usually sausage fests. You cannot lie about that. If you do this shit for real, you know that. Like, you know that. You're not having a grotto at the studio session, like, pretty much ever. Like, and if you look at professional studio sessions, they are a sausage fest, which is a fascinating take as well. It's a fascinating observation.
Is essential to success. Rappers obsess over each other's looks, fashion, and aesthetics, but must always frame it as a rivalry or competition. This creates a paradox. Straight men in hip-hop experience admiration, longing, jealousy, and even infatuation towards other men, but have no language for it that fits within traditional heteronormativity. So when homoparasocial attraction arises, people immediately label it as gay or homoerotic because they lack the framework to understand male desire and emotional investment as something beyond sexuality. Homoparasocial attraction doesn't fit neatly into this structure. It forces straight men into a gray area where their emotional connection to another man starts to look and feel like sexual attraction, but they have no framework to process it without it being labeled as gay. And in hip-hop, being labeled as gay, whether accurately or not, carries real social consequences. That's
Which is pretty fucked up, honestly.
why so many straight men who experience homoparasocial attraction will aggressively deny it. Since hip-hop doesn't allow much space for male-to-male attraction that isn't sexual, homoparasocial attraction tends to show up in indirect, coded ways. Homoparasocial attraction wouldn't be controversial if hip-hop allowed more room for male admiration without it being coded as gay. But because it doesn't, straight men who experience it often overcorrect with homophobia. The deeper their attraction, the more aggressively they must prove they aren't gay. The more they desire validation from another man, the more they police queerness in others. The closer their feelings get to actual attraction, the harder they reject anything associated with queerness.
Bro, it's just funny because, I mean, if you know anything about Boosie, it's the one thing you know is that bro is very, he's definitely a bigot. He's definitely a bigot, bro. Love him or hate him, you've got to at least be honest about that. He's definitely a little bit of a bigot. I'm trying to remember who was the other person who did that recently. I'm pretty sure Soulja Boy did some effed up stuff. And it's like, bro, saying like one thing once is like, I guess you shouldn't say it. But it's like one thing one time is like, okay, maybe you let some stupid shit slip out of your mind that you shouldn't. Just keep it to yourself. You know, a couple bad tweets when you were like 12 or 13, whatever. But like to have such conviction about your bigotry is almost like a type of projection, which I don't know if that's what this person is like, if that's what they're like gleaning towards, but like it definitely seems like that. But I might also be misinterpreting because they seem like they're a lot smarter than I am.
This is why some of the most homophobic voices in hip-hop spaces come from men who are obsessed with other men. Their own admiration feels too close to attraction, so they push back against anything that might blur the line. It's not about queerness. It's about fear of stepping outside the boundaries of heteronormativity. Homoparasocial attraction exists because masculinity, especially in hip-hop, doesn't have a category for deep admiration,
Of
longing,
men.
and emotional investment between men that isn't framed as competition or dominance. If masculinity in hip-hop were less rigid, straight men could admire, even deeply desire validation from other men without fear of being labeled. They wouldn't need to perform hypermasculinity to overcompensate with homophobia. They could experience emotional attachment to other men without repressing it. Homoparasocial attraction isn't about being gay or not. It's about the fact that heteronormativity doesn't allow for complex male relationships at all. And that's why straight men will continue to lust after Drake, not because they want him necessarily, but because they want something from him that hip-hop culture doesn't give them the freedom to name. In a way, they serve as their own thought police, constantly regulating how much admiration is acceptable before it crosses into something more threatening to their masculinity. This isn't just about Drake. It's about the deeply ingrained fear many straight men have of confronting their own emotional needs.
I was gonna say it's not just the Drake. That's what I was gonna say. Like, so it's not just the Drake thing, because like Kendrick fans will literally do the same thing, or like a fan of literally anybody, and it's kind of just interesting the way it's expressed. To be honest with you, I'll have to watch this like 2 more times really to like really wrap my head around like the psychology of what they're talking about. But it's definitely like not a lot of space to feel anything towards a guy. You can't, especially because I'm black and I am a musician full time. So like I know that you literally, the moment you say even anything, like the moment you show admiration or like appreciation, you have to police your words. You have to like be careful how you say it. You have to be like, even if like people don't think that you're gay or anything like that, they'll make jokes about you being gay. So it's like you don't even have the space to legitimately like express how you feel about another man in terms of like admiration or respect, like without, like you don't have the space to like really express that the way you might want to, simply because of like the heteronormative boundaries, basically. Not I like, and it's like it's just so interesting because it's like, yeah, like someone will be like, you're dick riding, or like if you say like that person's going hard, they'll literally be like, hey yo, pause, or no Diddy. It's like, bro, like are you serious? Like is that really the thing that's on your mind right now? Like are you that like chained by this like paradigm that it's like constant, it's like this constant script running through your mind? It's like really fucked up when you really think about it, because it like really is an indication of like just straight up repression. I mean, like an iceberg on top of an iceberg of just straight mental repression. And again, it literally does not mean that you're gay. And if it does, it doesn't matter. That's literally what they said in the beginning of the video. It's like, if the only thing you get from this is they're gay, it's like you missed the entire point. It's literally about the fucking jail cell that is heteronormative boundaries, like it's severely restrictive heteronormative boundaries, at least like from what I interpret so far. But again, I'm not that smart.
Their desires and the ways they idealize and long for closeness with other men. It's easier to lash out at gay men and mock queer attraction
than to admit that you want to be close to men as well, which again does not necessarily mean that you have to be gay, but like even if it did, it wouldn't matter.
Straight men who experience homoparasocial attraction don't just want to be Drake. Many also want to be seen, acknowledged, or validated by him in ways that resemble romantic longing. This type of emotional and mental investment mirrors the way people obsess over romantic partners rather than mere idols. Homoparasocial attraction is not about being gay, bi, or queer. It's about the fact that heterosexuality, as it is currently defined in hip-hop culture, doesn't have space for complex male admiration.
No, it literally doesn't. Like heterosexuality in the hip-hop space, like in the black hip-hop space, is literally like, you can do these two things, and if you don't do it just like this, then you're gay. And it's like you run the risk of that. And it's like, again, it's like even that fear of being called, like if someone called me gay, I'm not gay, but like if someone called me gay, I wouldn't care. If the entire world thought I was, I wouldn't care. It genuinely wouldn't bother me because, one, I'm secure about my sexuality. Two, I don't care what anyone else thinks about my sexuality because it's my fucking sexuality. But like, that's not the case for a majority of people, especially like in my career field. And that sounds like a living hell. I mean, honestly, like it's not like I've never experienced it, so I can tell you from experience, it's a living hell to be like that. And it's like, it stems from insecurity. It stems from basically feeling like you're in a prison like all the fucking time. You can't express yourself. You can't say anything you want to because you're afraid of like what other people are going to say. You don't want to hear a no Diddy. You don't want to hear a no homo. You don't want to say some statement that gets like put out into the ether. And it's like, it forever like makes you, it's just like the stupidest thing ever when you really think about it. And it causes so much repression. It causes so much just like, and that repression causes depression, and that depression causes anger, and that anger causes violence, and that violence causes degradation in your community and in your society and in your culture. And it fucking sucks.
If masculinity, the fact that heterosexuality, as it is currently defined in hip-hop culture, doesn't have space for complex male admiration. If masculinity allowed men to embrace admiration, closeness, and even attraction to other men without fear, we would see a lot fewer pause and no homo disclaimers.
Thank you.
And a lot more honesty.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that video was fire. I'm gonna definitely link it down below. Please, y'all go support this person's channel. That was a really fire video. Hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Peace. Oh, like, comment, and subscribe. Do all those things. All right, take care. Peace.